The first question comes from a new member, T or TE, I'm not sure. And he's saying a completely hypothetical scenario. Let's say NBA Europe, Champions League, and EuroLeague become one organism, one big league, 30 teams in total. We know that NBA Europe wants Manchester, PSG, maybe Rome as well. We had 15 teams from EuroLeague, 12 teams from Champions League. What teams are we adding from those leagues? And in this scenario, all teams would have to leave their national teams, play each other once, home and away, 58-game regular season, and then proper 16-team best-of-5 playoffs, and so on. So this is a Q&A session where we answer these kind of questions and more after. If you're a BM Plus member, to become a BM Plus member, you go where?
BasketNews.com/plus.
Exactly. So
Kolek also had a follow-up question regarding the same topic. I think we all saw the statement released by the EuroLeague after the meeting with the NBA and FIBA. What is your feeling on that collaboration? Maybe you're hearing some unofficial news on how bad the meeting went.
So to catch up, everyone who hasn't been following the whole NBA Europe stuff, briefly, they announced that they are expected to launch in October of 2027.
Yep.
They want to have 16 teams. 12 of those need to be permanent, and then 4 of those would qualify through other competitions, like, let's say, the Basketball Champions League. That's the FIBA competition. And
nothing has changed actually from the information that he had for months.
Yeah.
And I heard that in that meeting there were also no groundbreaking decisions or agreements or whatsoever. It's not like the meeting really went that bad as Kolek is suggesting, but at the same time both leagues are basically still keeping up to their kind of radical positions. NBA Europe wants to start from scratch. EuroLeague says that, hey, we have this legacy, continuity, we have this atmosphere thing, the projects that have been built for decades. So let's work on that. Let's upgrade our competition. We'll see where it goes. It's the long negotiation process, but to be honest, it's hard to expect any outcome where NBA Europe says, hey, okay, I like those EuroLeague guys. Let's do something with them. But we'll see. Because my counter argument would be if NBA Europe franchises that they're targeting in those cities that has no basketball background, like Manchester, even Rome, for instance, at the moment, some other cities, PSG, for instance, if things are not going well, if it takes too much time to build the arenas, which usually takes a lot of time, if they see that they don't feel solid about that, maybe they'll shift to the EuroLeague side. But it's a big if, I would say.
Well, I'd say the first thing to consider is why NBA is coming to Europe in the first place. And that's not to have, you need to understand that EuroLeague already was there. So they saw that there's a competition that already has all the best European teams, and it's probably not the most money-making machine that it could be. That's why they're coming. They want to make profit. They want to make money out of this sport because they have the knowledge from the NBA. They want to bring their brand and make money. And that's why they're not looking at these classic EuroLeague teams as much as they're looking at biggest markets where there's a potential to create a basketball environment, a basketball team, a fan base, and so on. But it's all very nice in theory. The problem is that as we've seen, let's say with Dubai's example, things don't turn out the way that you expect in theory.
On paper and business plan, right?
Yeah. When you see in reality, the atmosphere is not there. The fans that are there, 6,000 on average at most.
Let's not forget that this team had 1 year on their back preparing for that EuroLeague season opener. I mean, they had the chance to build the fan base. And after 1 year from building from scratch, and actually after the really first successful experience that they had in ABA League, they have 6,000 people. And I think that EuroLeague can afford having a couple of those additional markets with the NBA vibes. But if the core of your franchises is something like Dubai, in case of NBA Europe, I'm not a big believer.
Which teams would you consider if you were NBA Europe? For me, it's Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern, and maybe Fenerbahce, because those four, they have football clubs and they're very strong football brands. They have a lot of fans around the world. And the rest of the EuroLeague clubs, they don't really have a brand associated with them that would be strong enough in my eyes. I mean, I said them in order of like football recognition. Of course, you could say maybe like Paris could transform to become PSG, for example.
Yeah.
That's something that if you did, that wouldn't really hurt like Paris as a Paris basketball club. Just because rebranding I'm talking about. I'm not talking about maybe like the ownership and all that. If you just rebranded, if you said, okay, look, PSG, we're going to have your name, your logo, but we're still going to be Paris basketball, if that's okay, then I would see another team. But otherwise, from these EuroLeague teams...
But you're looking only from business perspective, right?
Yeah, just from like...
But again, you need some...
NBA Europe's perspective, I guess.
You need some European vibes. You need some atmosphere. You need some continuity, legacy. And you have two of the top budget teams in the EuroLeague with Panathinaikos and Olympiacos. So you need that as well.
If you're thinking cleverly about it, if you're not just thinking about business, you have to look at teams and the vibes. But I feel like the NBA Europe is just from what they've been talking about, the ideas they've been introducing, like Manchester Basketball Club. I'm not sure they're looking at these kind of not that they're a small market, like money-wise, they have the biggest budgets, like you said. Yeah. It's just that Greece maybe is not the market to sell things in.
Globally.
Probably. Globally. I mean, it's hard, in for us even, doing this podcast, for example, finding sponsors in countries that have not that much money, let's say. Mm-hmm. Serbia, Greece, like, it's not the same as if we went to Germany and said, hey, we have this podcast about basketball, and a lot of Germans are watching it. The sponsors would come in like this, because it's a big market. It's 80 million people or so, and they know how to pay money. They're willing to pay money, and let's say these economies of Serbia, Greece, they're not necessarily big spenders. So in NBA eyes, it's not like, I mean, they're big spenders in the sports department, but everything around it. What about merchandise? What about all these other things that you sell as a package, as a brand deal? Yeah, I'm not sure. But this was a question that was hypothetical.
Yeah. Let's build our hypothetical
30 teams.
NBA Europe tournament. First of all, I'm not a believer in a 30-team tournament.
Too much.
And there's no way that those teams could leave their national leagues, because if they're working with FIBA, FIBA's responsibility is to grant the importance of the national leagues, domestic leagues. So it's not working. It's the first red flag for this competition. I would keep like 20 or 24 teams, basically what the EuroLeague does at the moment and what they're planning to do with the expansion. And you still keep the national leagues. Since it's under the umbrella of FIBA, you make room for FIBA windows during the season. So actually, in my hypothetical scenario, I would see this one organism of NBA Europe, Champions League, and EuroLeague. 24 teams. You have a big core of EuroLeague teams with continuity. Yeah. With the system that has been adapted, and it's not like these teams are generating losses only. There are teams like Žalgiris, they're making money. So we have some positive examples from their business models. You have some big investors, and by adding those teams from the markets you're targeting that will generate you money, you can compensate that if there are some drawbacks from the other organizations. So I don't know. I would pick a core of the EuroLeague teams that we have at the moment. It might be a matter of a discussion which teams you would leave out of the competition, but then you can talk about the projects with PSG, Rome, Manchester. You can pick some BCL teams with more potential, and there is some potential with Galatasaray, for instance. Trapani Shark is an ambitious project in Italy. I would check the status of the teams, organizations like Hapoel Jerusalem, for instance, because they also had big ambitions. I would put some, Champions League. You're putting the second tier competition in FIBA hands, and that's where you can test with these. I would also keep these 4 permanent spots with teams changing. So maybe in years there could be emergence of London Lions or whatever. So it would still be a flexible competition.
I would just really eliminate ones that I don't think have a chance to have a spot in this hypothetical league, and that would be probably Baskonia, because it's like the 6th, 7th already team from Spain. You don't need as many. You need
the thing is that they actually have a football team, and they are connected to the football team in Vitoria. Yeah.
Oh, because they're not the same in terms of.
It's just that it's not a big football brand.
But it's a small town in general, like that area. Like we say, like one of the 2 of the worst places for EuroLeague players to go to away games is probably Vitoria and maybe Kaunas, in terms of like the small size of the city and not much action in that city. And weather. But anyways, yeah, I would say Baskonia falls out of the context. Maybe Dubai. I mean, it depends how NBA wants to expand, but Dubai is, a team that's in the Middle East. The Serbian clubs, I know it's like historic. I know it's iconic, but again, I'm talking about the biggest markets, unless they went with just one or something like that. But I'm not sure they would want to expand to Serbia or Lithuania, in fact, because, it's, again, a very small market. Although we're doing all the things right with Žalgiris. Žalgiris is doing everything they could to be profitable, to grow their budget and have the all-time highest budget that they ever had. It's still a small market. And then, like, Valencia, I'd say is too small. As well, those kind of teams that would fall out of the context. Other teams are, Milan is a big city, big metropolitan area. Istanbul, no question, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, by population in Europe.
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of these markets, they're great to expand to, but it's a matter of it's in the first place. I don't think it's all gonna come together like this hypothetical scenario. I think it's gonna be some weird mess we're gonna have to see in 2027. I mean, it'll probably come out later than that, earlier than that. The information, maybe one team wants to leave or something like that. Like, I'm sure that they'll have to get commitments from teams like, I don't know, Real Madrid, for example. That's the one that's been rumored the most.
Madrid and Barca.
Yeah. So if they will commit to this new idea, I mean, we'll hear about that before that season starts in October of 2027. I'm sure.
I'm just really expecting that all these organizations could emerge, because then we could figure out a lot of mess that we have in Europe. For instance, with the NBA in charge, or just being a huge part of the ecosystem of European basketball, you could work on the NBA buyouts, because these NBA buyouts that we have are ridiculous. It's even less than $1 million. And, since NBA Europe is there, they would be interested in getting bigger profit from those transactions. As I mentioned, FIBA windows, the whole European calendar would be different, because, I mean, if Americans are coming here and they're watching at the European schedule, I think that, they're lost. What the hell is going on with these national team competitions? Preseason, end of the season, French championship ends in July almost. It's ridiculous. So we would have a clear calendar. Now we kind of undermine the BCL or Eurocup, but let's say we have this strong core of NBA Europe teams with all these solid organizations, and let's say one of these teams, Red Star or Partizan, Žalgiris, some others are playing in BCL, fighting for that spot. I mean, that would be a quality tournament. Then you could do some promotion relegation stuff, so that would make sense.
But then that leaves no space for a EuroLeague as its own thing. That means that EuroLeague would have to be gone. It would have to be NBA Europe and Champions League that way,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about, why we have such a mess is because EuroLeague has a lot of games. For example, if you look at football, why does football have no problems with, let's say, scheduling and all that? Because they only have, I think if you're in the group stage, you'll play maximum of 8 now they have a different system in Champions League, but you'll play like 8 games. And then if you advance, I looked up the maximum amount of games per season is 17. So this is from 8 to 17 games you have, which is nothing compared to 34 EuroLeague games, now 38 EuroLeague games, and would grow to 58 if in this crazy scenario without the domestic leagues. But what I'm saying is the commitment is much less, and it's more similar to actually the FIBA Champions League, where we have not a lot of games. And that's why there's enough time to play both domestic and European competition. But because we're trying to do 2 leagues, 2 big leagues. I mean, let's say your Spanish team, you're playing ACB, a whole regular season and playoffs, and you make it far in the EuroLeague, you're playing all these regular season games, and that comes into a mountain of games and a crazy schedule with 2-3 games per week, more than 3 sometimes even, if it's a double EuroLeague week. It's crazy.
Yeah, but domestic leagues in basketball are not as relevant as domestic leagues in football.
Some are.
That's the main thing.
But not all. Yeah, some
but
of
you're
the
not
biggest
making
ones.
huge money, except from ACB, I guess.
But
nobody's making money in their domestic leagues.
For a team, morally, their morality is, we just lost the European Championship, let's say, the European Cup, whatever it is, whatever it's called, and there's only going to be one winner of that. Then your season is based on the success on one European title, which only one team can win. But then you come back to your domestic league and you still have a chance to get a cup, get a domestic league title. I think that's why those things matter. Because teams are not just competing for one title, we're 30 teams.
Yeah, morality is morality, but I'm talking more about the business side, these domestic leagues.
But business is also getting people in the seats, and you want to get people in the seats for the home games at your whatever, domestic league you're playing in.
But that's why you play so many games in the EuroLeague, because that's the content you want. This is premium basketball, and that's why you have all these gyms packed. That's where you get all your money, because in the domestic leagues, you usually see the decrease in attendance numbers.
Depending on the league, yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's ACB, I guess I'm thinking mostly about ACB.
So it's like 4 teams of the entire competition.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This is a tough topic. But even though we kind of explained that making, even in a hypothetical scenario, this NBA, Europe, EuroLeague, and BCL thing work as a one unit, it's hard. But if we have it divided, like it's very likely in the upcoming years.
You think it's even harder, or because I feel like it is?
a lot of mess, and in my eyes, both leagues would hurt. So we would have less premium experience, but I cannot say more of mediocrity, but. I mean, just not
perhaps
top level.
Because the player pool is not going to expand that much.
Yeah,
I mean, you're still going to have to compete for the same players, and you'll have more teams that have aspirations to do well. Even now, when we added 2 more EuroLeague teams, we're going to add a couple. I think 24 is the final.
Yeah. So 4 more.
What they want. So already with 2 more, you had to look for extra players outside of the usual talent pool, and that's nice. We got a lot of new talent coming in, but at some point that talent will be not at the level that we're used to seeing. And if you have another league with another 16 teams, you have the EuroLeague with 24. I guess the Champions League would kind of merge with the NBA Europe to exist. Okay. Then again, it'll be more players that you need to fill out these rosters, and more, essentially, more diluted talent you'll have in each team that way. So yeah, I agree with you that the talent level might drop. What's next? Do you have any more questions? And also, this is the part where we're gonna transition into the paid subscription part. And the next question.